Book 1, Chapter 11, Consolation of Rama. Vishwamitra said, "If such is the case, you who are intelligent may go at once and persuade that progeny of Raghu to come here as one deer does others. This stupor of Rama is not caused by any accident or reflection. I believe it is the development of that superior intellect which rises from the right reasoning of dispassionate men. Let Rama come here for a while, and in a moment we shall dispel his delusion, as wind drives away clouds from mountain tops." Vishwamitra continued. "After his mental dullness is removed by my reasoning, he will be able to rest in that happy state of mind to which we have arrived. He shall not only attain pure truth and a clear understanding of uninterrupted tranquility, but he will also secure a plumpness and beauty of figure and complexion as one derives from a portion of ambrosia. He will then fully discharge the proper course of his duties with all his heart and without exception, which will redound to his honor. He will become strong with a knowledge of both worlds, exempt from the states of pleasure and pain. Then he will look upon gold and stones with an indifferent eye." After the chief of the sages had spoken in this manner, the king resumed the firmness of his mind and sent messengers after messengers to bring Rama to him. By this time, Rama was preparing to rise from his seat in the palace to come over to his father in the manner that the sun rises from the mountain in the east. Surrounded by a few of his servants, he came with his two brothers to the hallowed hall of his father, resembling the heaven of the king of gods. From a distance he saw the kingly desire seated amidst the assemblage of princes, like Indra surrounded by the gods. He was accompanied on either side by the sages Vasishta and Vishwamitra, and respectfully attended by his staff of ministers, all well versed in the interpretation of all scriptures. He was fanned by charming maidens, waving fine flappers in their hands, equaling in beauty the goddesses presiding over the quarters of heaven. Vasishta, Vishwamitra, and the other sages, with Dasaratha and his chiefs, saw Rama coming at a distance as beautiful as Skanda, Subramanya himself. His qualities of mildness and gravity made him resemble the Himalayas, and he was esteemed by all for the depth and clearness of his understanding. He was handsome and well-proportioned, auspicious in his look, but humble and magnanimous in his mind. With loveliness and mildness of his person, he was possessed of all manly prowess. He was just developed to youth, yet he was as majestic as an elderly man. He was neither sad nor merry, but seemed to be fully satisfied with himself, as if he had obtained all the objects of his desires. He was a good judge of the world, and possessed of all holy virtues. The purity of his mind attracted all the virtues that met in him. The receptacle of his mind was filled by magnanimity and honorable virtues, and the candor of his conduct showed him in the light of perfection. Endowed with these various virtues and decorated by his necklace and fine apparel, Rama, the support of Raghu's race, approached with a smiling face. He bowed his head to his father, with the sparkling jewels trembling in his locks, giving his head the graceful appearance of Mount Sumeru shaken by an earthquake. The lotus-eyed Rama came up to salute the feet of his father, when the Lord of the sages, Vishvamitra, was speaking with him. First of all, Rama saluted his father, then the two honorable sages. Next he saluted the Brahmins, then his relations, and lastly his elders and well-wishing friends. Then he received and returned the salutations of the chiefs and princess, as they bowed to him with graceful motions of their heads and respectful addresses. Rama, of godlike beauty and equanimity of mind, approached the sacred presence of his father with the blessings of the two sages. During the act of saluting the feet of his father, the Lord of the earth repeatedly kissed his head and face and embraced him with fondness. At the same time, Rama, the destroyer of his enemies, embraced his brothers Lakshman and Satrughna with an affection as intense as a swan embracing lotus flowers. "My son, be seated upon my lap," said the king to Rama, who, however, took his seat on a fine piece of cloth spread on the floor by his servants. The king then said, "O my son and receptacle of my blessings, you have attained the age of discretion, so do not put yourself to that state of self-mortification as the dull-headed do from their crazy understandings. Know that one attains merit by following the course of his elders, guides and Brahmins, and not by his persistence in error. So long as we do not allow the seeds of error to have access to us, so long will the train of our misfortunes lie at a distance." Vasishta said, "O strong-armed prince, you are truly heroic to have conquered your worldly appetites, which are as difficult to eradicate as they are fierce in their action. Why do you allow yourself, like the unlearned, to be drowned in this rolling sea of errors, causing such dull inactivity in you?" Vishvamitra said, "Why are your eyes so unsteady with doubts, like trembling clusters of blue lotuses? You ought to do away with this unsteadiness and tell us what is the sadness in your mind. What are these thoughts? What are their names and natures, their number and causes that infest your mind, like mice undermine a fabric? I am disposed to think that you are not the person to be troubled with these evils, and this tempers to which the base and vile alone are subject. Tell me the craving of your heart, O sinless Rama. They will be requited in a manner that will prevent them from reoccurring to you. Rama, the standard of Raghu's race, having listened to the reasonable and graceful speech of the good-intentioned sage, shook off his sorrow like a peacock at the roaring of a cloud, in the hope of gaining his object. Chapter 12. Rama's Reply. Valmiki relates. Being thus asked by the chief of the sages with soothing words, Rama answered in a soft and graceful speech replete with good sense. Said he, O venerable sage, untutored though I am, I will tell you in truth all the particulars as you asked. For who would disobey the bidding of the wise? Rama continued, Since I was born in this my father's palace, I have remained here, grown up, and received my education. Then, O leader of sages desiring to learn good customs, I set out to travel to holy places all over the sea-surrounded earth. By this time, a series of reflections arose in my mind that shook my confidence in worldly objects. I employed my mind to discriminate the nature of things, which gradually led me to discard all thoughts of sensual enjoyments. What are worldly pleasures good for, and why do men multiply on earth? Men are born to die, and they die to be born again. There is no stability in the tendencies of beings, whether movable or immovable. They all tend to vice, decay, and danger, and all our possessions become the grounds of our poverty. All objects of sense are detached from each other like iron rods from one another. It is only imagination which attaches them to our minds. It is the mind that pictures the existence of the world as a reality. But if we know the deceptiveness of the mind, we are safe from such deception. If the world is an unreality, it is a pity that ignorant men should be allured by it, like deer tempted by a distant mirage of water. We are sold by none, yet we are enslaved to the world. Knowing this well, we are spellbound with riches, as if by the magic wand of Sambara. What are the enjoyments in this essence but misery? Yet we are foolishly caught in its thoughts like bees caught in honey. Rama continued. After long I perceive that we have insensibly fallen into errors, like senseless stags falling into caverns in the wilderness. Of what use is royalty and these enjoyments to me? What am I, and where do all these things come from? They are only vanities. Let them continue as such, without any good or loss to anybody. Reasoning in this manner, O holy Brahmin, I came to be disgusted with the world like a traveller in a desert. Now, tell me, O venerable sir, is this world advancing to its dissolution or continued reproduction, or is it in endless progression? If there is any progress here, Is it the appearance and disappearance by turns of old age and disease, and of prosperity and adversity? See how the variety of our trifling enjoyments hastens our decay. They are like hurricanes shattering trees in the mountains. Men continue in vain to breathe their vital breath like hollow bamboo windpipes having no sense. The thought that consumes me like wildfire in the hollow of a withered tree is, how is misery to be alleviated? Rama continued. The weight of worldly miseries sits heavy on my heart like a rock and obstructs the breathing of my lungs. I have a mind to weep, but I am prevented from shedding tears for fear of my people. My tearless weeping and speechless mouth give no indication to anybody of my inner sorrow. My consciousness is silent witness to my solitude. I wait to think on the positive and negative states, as a ruined man bewails to reflect on his former state of affluence. I take prosperity to be a seducing cheat, for it deludes the mind, impairs good qualities, and spreads the net of our miseries. To me, like one fallen into great difficulties, no riches, offspring, consorts, or home affords any delight, but they seem to be misery. Like a wild elephant in chains, I find no rest in my mind, reflecting on the various evils of the world and thinking on the causes of our frailties. They are wicked passions prying at all times under the dark mist of the night of our ignorance. There are hundreds of objects which, like so many cunning rogues, are about all men in broad daylight, lurking on all sides to rob us of our reason. What mighty champions can we delegate to fight with these other than our own knowledge of truth?